played with Isaiah Simmons for a couple of years. What
Yep.
kind of player is he, and how important is it going to be for you to have to remember where he's at?
He's a great player. Obviously went, I think, 8th overall, and has played well, done a lot of good things in his first 2 seasons. So the one thing about him is just he's really dynamic because he's big, really long, and he's fast and powerful. So he can kind of do everything. He can play in the box. He can get on the perimeter, chase guys down, pass rush a little bit. Like, he can kind of do it all. So that's one thing. Just have an eye out for him. I mean, they got a lot of great players, though. So there's going to be a lot of guys we got to keep an eye on. So that's every week, I guess, in the NFL, but especially this team. I mean, they've got a really good defense. So, but yeah, he's awesome. Great player.
He joked today that he's never touched you.
Do what?
He joked today he's never been allowed.
No, in practice. I know he's wanted to a few times, so he'll have his chances this weekend. I'm sure I'll be hearing from him all game.
Coach Meyer said he had a conversation with you about pressing, that he felt like maybe you were pressing a little bit, trying to do too much. Do you feel like that? And how do you counter that moving forward?
Yeah, honestly, I don't. Maybe on a couple plays, but I felt last game, it wasn't as much pressing, just had a few too many throwaways where I could have made some plays with my legs, missed a few throws. There in that 2-minute stretch, I had like 6 straight incompletions. Like, the ball got wet and I just got a little inaccurate. So got to clean that up. And then some of the shots, like the first pick, the safety did a nice job and I was a little late on the throw, but really I had the guy open if I would have thrown it a little bit earlier. So I think that one I was just a little bit late. The next one, we took a shot. Corner made a great play. That's going to happen sometimes, but you don't have the first turnover, and that doesn't make the second one as bad. You can kind of manage that. So just managing those plays, and then for me is just taking more completions. I've said it a bunch of times to you guys, is just like we always talk about in our room. Coach Schottenheimer says the power of completions. You get a guy the ball, have a couple completions in a row, they're going to make plays. Even if you only throw it 3 yards, he might get 20. And, I had one to James in the game where we just checked it down instead of trying to hunt downfield. And he got, I think, 12, 13 yards on it. I think I threw it 1 yard. So it's stuff like that. Like, let those guys make plays. I could definitely do a better job of that. But I feel like I'm learning a lot each week. I feel like I'm getting better. I know this past game, you look at the stats or whatever, doesn't look great. But I feel like there was a lot of things where I grew. I think I got better. So
you feel you have to increase the check downs and the progressions and work a little more on throwing like the short route across the middle if you get that opportunity a little bit more?
Yeah, a little bit. I think just in general progressing through my reads a little bit faster and through all of them, not just to 2 or 3, but to 4 and then the check down or whatever it is. I do a little better job of that. I mean, I threw a few check downs in the game that we actually lost some yards on. So then those where it's like if they're only rushing 4 and they're covering everyone underneath and they got 2 guys deep, there's probably a good run lane for me. So those are just things that I'm learning, and as the game went on, you saw me use my legs a few times, and I'm getting better at that, but just got to keep getting better, until it stops coming up.
He said something about the speed, like his previous players that he's coached at Ohio State, Florida, about the speed. Is the speed something that, it is what it is? Is it as fast as they say? Or
Just talking about like everybody?
Yeah,
like the game?
Like the speed of they could close in on the receivers real fast.
Yeah, it's just, everyone's just better, and it's especially like technique and fundamentally, like the corners are so much better. There's not as much separation. Like you see, even the touchdown to Marv, like there wasn't a ton of separation. When I threw it, there was no separation. Then Marvin did a good job of making a play at the end and separating a little bit, but that's just the way it is. And for me, I'm still just got to keep getting used to that and being more accurate. I think that's the main thing, is giving my guys a chance, being more accurate consistently. But I kind of knew everyone was going to be better when I got here, so it's nothing new really as far as that goes. I've always had that mindset, but everyone's just better, so there's not as much room for error. So if there's a play where you're a little bit off, it's an incompletion, it's not a catch. So all those little things add up.
Your eyes kind of lit up when Isaiah Simmons was mentioned, and you mentioned there's a lot of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball for Arizona. Maybe in preparing for this game, how is it maybe different than the previous 2 because of the personnel they have on defense?
Honestly, nothing really changes in our preparation. Obviously, you have a different plan for a different defense, but some of the same things that Denver did well, these guys do well. They do a good job disguising, mixing it up. Arizona mixes it up even more than Denver, but then they got a really good pass rush. Same thing as the Broncos. So those guys are obviously a threat. J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, and there's other guys up front too that do a good job. So being aware of that as a quarterback, time clock goes down a little bit. but you can't let it change too much. If you're worried about, like, I got to do my job, and I trust my guys up front, my tackles, and all the guys on the inside to do their job too, and they've done a great job of it. So I just got to worry about being my best and playing well, and that's what we need.
As long as
Sounds like you're still battling in your head about should I run, should I not run? Is that something that you dealt with when you first got to Clemson too?
Not really. I mean, obviously, that's something I really feel like can impact the game and help us. And I've said that multiple times, and it's just conditioning myself more and more because in the off season, like in practice, you just kind of get used to sitting in the pocket, going through all your progressions. You can't get hit. So that time clock isn't as real. And then here it's like when you get in the game, it becomes real, and those guys are closing in on you fast. So I think I've a few too many times just reacted to throw it away instead of making a play. But there's definitely a fine line. Like you can't try to make every play a game-winning play. You know, you got to know when to say when. So finding that balance, but I think I'm getting there. Like you've seen, I didn't really run at all in the first game. I didn't run at all in the first game. This game, I had a couple runs for first downs and impacted the game a little bit, and just doing that more and more when necessary. Not trying to look for it too much, but you see a lot of, I mean, besides Tom Brady, most of the best quarterbacks in the league use their legs when they need to.
Did you feel the game speed kind of slowed down for you last week just compared to your first week?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was seeing it really well, actually. Obviously, we weren't very efficient on offense and didn't execute great, but I didn't feel like Denver really confused us. I thought our communication was really good. I thought we had some plays that we missed, either missed throw, drop, whatever it was. We all just had our errors at bad times. But I really felt like I was seeing it well and kind of knew what was going on all around me. But still got to play better, got to execute. But no, I felt good.
Speaking of Tom Brady, I think it's you and him in terms of percentage of deep ball completion so far this year. For you, is it a lot of just trying, seeing, testing the limits? Or is that, again, kind of going back to the checkdowns thing? Is this something that maybe you are trying to dial it back a little bit?
I don't want to say that because there's always, you got to stay aggressive. And that's like a huge part of this game is explosive plays. But that's not everything. Like you got to stay on schedule. And part of that is if they want to play really soft or if they want to have, if they want to cloud it and have two deep safeties, then sometimes you got to just take what they give you and you can't force it downfield. So I think I've gotten better at that, but still there's a couple times in the game where we might have had one-on-one, but the corner's really soft and he's just bailing. Like it's not a great opportunity to throw a deep ball there. So stuff like that, just learning and getting used to – it's also about getting used to playing with these guys, the receivers. And, yeah, we've worked in camp and practice, but it's different when you get in a game and you see these live looks and then you talk on the sideline and figure out what you like, what you don't like, how they're going to react when it happens in a game, because there's stuff that you just can't cover. That's just, you have to have that connection. And I think we're getting it. Obviously we're not where we want to be, but we're working towards it, and I think we're getting better.
In terms of maybe,
Go ahead.
in terms of, so with that said, in terms of your progression, development as a quarterback, where you thought you might be going into game 3, where you are, what's the discrepancy there? Or is it kind of on schedule?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to, that's kind of hard, like you don't really map out like where do I see this connection and chemistry with everyone by whatever game. I feel like we got a great team and I love the locker room. I think everyone gels, get along great, everybody works their butt off. But I will say, obviously you don't want to be 0-2 at this time. You'd rather have won at least one game, hopefully 2. But I know we're getting better, and I know that's like frustrating for people out there, and it's frustrating for us too. Like we want to win. We're here every day working our tail off to get better. We want to win, but I can feel us getting better, and the morale still really good. We got a great culture and a good environment here, and it's going to take a little time, but we're getting there.
Do you think you're going to see more of what Denver showed you until you show you can have more success against it? You expect that'll be what teams will throw at you?
I mean, you never know. Sometimes, obviously, their teams carry things over from one week to the next, just if they see someone had success with it. But there's most coordinators have their philosophy, and they kind of stick with it. I do think some of the things carry over from the Broncos to the Cardinals. The base structure, 3-4 with those stand-up edge guys, similar defense, but they do a lot of different stuff in the back end. I'd say they mix it up more. But most defensive coordinators kind of have their thumbprint, if you will, and that's what they do. They've done it for a long time. So who knows? They might, but I'm assuming they're going to kind of stick with what they've done in years past.
You've been a star at every level growing up. Do you ever find yourself a little awestruck seeing Von Miller or J.J. Watt AJ Green, some of these guys, DeAndre Hopkins?
I don't know if awestruck is the word. It's definitely cool, seeing all these guys that I've watched on TV that have been playing for 10, 12, whatever, however many years, and being out there on the same field with them. And the thing I have to keep reminding myself is like it's still just a game, and same game I've been playing since I was a kid, and a game I happen to be good at, and I just got to keep reminding myself like I belong here. I know I'm young, but still like I can play with all these guys, and I think just building that confidence for me throughout the whole team, and I feel ourselves headed towards that. You saw the way we started the game, and obviously you have to finish, but we feel good, and it's disappointing, but we're getting there.
Because you and Urban, both NFL rookies, is it interesting or weird or going through the journey together at the same time? You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have any personal experience to draw back on to kind of help you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's there's definitely been times like he's pulled me off the side. He's like, "Can you believe this? Like this is so weird. This is so weird how this is how they do it here, like stuff like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm my first time too, So that's always funny. But I think we're growing, we're learning. Coach Meyer's done a great job of. Obviously, there's a sense of urgency here to get better fast, and to go win games, and we're all ready for that. But he's done a great job of just keeping the team together, and that's the main thing. Is this is a long season, and I've been impressed with just the way he's led and managed the team. It's been cool to have a front row seat to that, and then that permeates obviously through all the leaders on the team, and it's kind of a direct reflection of that. So there's a lot of good things to come, and we're excited.
I know he's on the other team, but Kyler Murray, his style of play for you, both of you being in college at the same time, how do you think maybe he's transformed the game, and do you enjoy watching his style of play?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's fun to watch. He's guys like him and Lamar, and even guys that are similar but different, like Josh Allen, just playmakers that go out and just make all these crazy plays and use their legs, and it's fun to watch, really. And I've been impressed with how he's come in, and everyone always says, same thing with Lamar, like, you can't do that in the NFL. You're not going to have any success. And to see those guys do it well and really has hurt some defenses with it has been fun to watch. And it's cool just having guys like them and then guys like Tom Brady that are just polar opposites but still have so much success. I think that's what it's all about, and it keeps the game fun for sure.